welcome to Breakfast with Fran. We're live at the GoSmallBiz.com office here in Atlanta, and we're glad to have you with us today. Now, before we get started, let's meet our host, Fran Tarkenton. You may know Fran as an NFL Hall of Famer. He's also an entrepreneur who's built more than 20 successful businesses. He's a frequent contributor to Fox Business, CNN, and the Wall Street Journal, and also hosts his own show on SiriusXM satellite radio. Fran is joined today by innovation expert Tim Halloran. Tim will share the 5 secrets to creating new products that succeed. And also, if you have a few minutes, check out this month's Extra, featuring part of Fran's recent sit-down with MyCorporation.com CEO Deborah Sweeney. We hope you learned something new today, and we hope you'll join us every month for more networking and more great interviews. Now, here's Hall of Fame quarterback and Hall of Fame entrepreneur, Fran Tarkenton. Fran?
Thank you very much, Jay, and good morning, everybody. We've got a great guest for you today, and you know, average is not good enough, and people need to talk to people, and we need to get smarter. And I'm 72 years old, and I promise you, I'm getting smarter every day. I wish somebody had told me when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s that you gotta reach out and push out and avail yourself of new thinking and new ways to look at things. You do that by talking to people and reading and doing what you're doing this morning. You're there, you're with each other, you're sharing ideas, you're getting to know each other, you're building relationships, and then we bring you somebody that's got great knowledge, can give you a new way to think about things. And we have Tim Halloran with us this morning, who's got a great background. He studied marketing at Washington Lee, a really great school out in the hills of Virginia.
That's right.
And then he went to my alma mater and got really smart. He went and got his master's. I guess you got your master's degree in business there and marketing. And then he's been a brand manager at the Coca-Cola Company, which is right here in my hometown of Atlanta. I used to work with the Coca-Cola Company, and Tim probably didn't know this. I was on the first board of directors of Coca-Cola Enterprises.
Oh, wow.
Which is the bottling arm of the Coca-Cola Company. And so Tim had the best marketers in the world are at Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and P&G. And he came out of that background. Now he's a professor over at Emory University in their business school, and he's a brand consultant. Now, Tim, you know, we're entrepreneurs. A lot of us are sole proprietors. We're, you know, 70% of the world is sole proprietors, and our people out there are probably sole proprietors, small business owners, maybe 5 employees, maybe as much as 10 employees. And we never think about reinventing ourselves in brand or reinvent how we do. Tell us what we can do.
Well, clearly, yeah. New products are the key, and new services are the key to driving growth. We know that. We know that you have to continue to reinvent yourself. We know that you have to continue to invent new ways to reach out to your customers. So what I've come up with are 5 key ways that you can, and 5 secrets I like to say, on how to really, the secrets to launching new products and launching successful new products. So I'll just kind of state. The first one is really you got to start with the customer. And that's when we talk about all the time, right? Start with who your end user is. Who is the customer? And really trying to understand who that individual is. And what do I mean by that? Understand who that customer is, not just I'm a hairstylist and I take care of women 30 to 40 years of age. That's my main customer. Really get inside that customer's head and try to understand, why are they coming to me specifically? What is it about my service that I offer that makes them come to me? What need am I providing for them? And consequently, what needs don't they have, or do they have that I'm not necessarily meeting right now? Okay, so the idea here is understanding who that customer is and what their needs are. I like to say kind of what their pain points are is what we call it. We call it kind of, you know, and there's something out there that maybe they're not getting that potentially I could provide for them.
So you think customers will be candid, so we need to talk to customers.
That's important, but the customers are candid. We need to talk to customers. We need to talk to our satisfied customers. Yeah. But it's also important to talk to our dissatisfied customers as well. Who's left us? Yeah. Why have they left us? Yeah.
It's so important. It's so fundamental, but it's something that none of us do it as good as we should do it. But go ahead, number 2.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to my next point, which is the customer often doesn't know what they want. So that kind of seems a little like dichotomous with what I just told you, right? But often people don't know what they want. You can take it all the way back to Henry Ford. Henry Ford went back and said, if I'd given people what they want, I would have made them a faster horse.
That's right.
Okay?
I love that quote, yeah.
You know that quote, right? We all know that quote. Think about the iPod even. Yeah. Okay? did people really know that they wanted something with 1,000 songs or 10,000 songs that they could put in their pocket?
No.
We were all perfectly fine walking around with our tape headphones and our cassette players. Yeah. Everyone was fine with that.
Yeah.
We didn't know that we didn't know what we didn't know, really, what we didn't need. And so customers are going to be able to tell you some things, but some of the things you're going to have to infer. And that's kind of a fancy academic word.
So all of this now, not only by talking to customers and understanding that they don't know, and Stephen Jobs said, you know, he never test marketed anything. He said, I want to go and build things that they don't even know they can have.
Absolutely.
And so this helps you be able to think of product improvements, product additions, service additions, or whatever it might be that you're not delivering now that will lead you to that new product.
Yeah, absolutely. You really almost have to play detective.
Yeah.
You have to play detective and kind of observe people, infer what they're saying. When you ask them questions, what's really behind what they're saying? And that's what makes good marketers and good entrepreneurs, is they come up and they're able to see beyond just the surface of what people are saying and figure out how to turn that into an idea.
Check me out here, see if I'm right. I by doing this, and I do this all the time, I think just the notion that you will take time with the customer impresses them. That someone cares enough to sit down and ask me,
oh yeah,
you know, what I like, what I don't like. People
Absolutely.
want to tell you. They really want to engage. So that in itself is great.
It will help you know, get you closer to your customer, that you were actually taking the time to care and ask them what they're thinking about. So so that's the second point, is know that the customer doesn't always know what they want.
Yeah.
So you've really got to play detective there. The third point is look at the competition. Okay, so look at your competition, and I don't just mean competition if you're a hairstylist, the hairstylist down the street. Certainly that's important to see what are they offering, what are the products, what are the services that they're offering.
What's the price? And what's the pricing?
Price point, yeah. Where's the value? You know, are they offering more value than you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how are they expanding that value? So it may not just be about the price point, it may be about the services they provide for a certain price point. Okay, so you want to look at clearly the folks what I would call in your category, in your competitive set.
Right.
But you also want to look at folks maybe not necessarily in your category, but peripherally around you. Okay, so again, if you're a hairstylist, right, what is the bank doing down the street? What is the dry cleaner doing down the street? So you're really trying to look at, and that's a great source of ideas, is look at other categories that provide services.
Different from your own category. In the same community, just go in there and see what they're doing and how they're doing their business.
Yeah, what kind of services
I never thought of that. That's a good idea.
There you go.
That's a new one for me. That's exactly right.
Because we get so many of our ideas, not just from we get so focused into the category that we're competing in.
Yeah.
We get very narrowly minded focused that we don't see kind of the forest for the trees and see what's going on in our backyard, but maybe in a different industry or a different business. And that's a great source of ideas.
And we'll learn what they're doing for their customers.
Absolutely.
And what the response rate is. And so, good. All right. 4.
Okay. Number 4. Okay, so we've done our work with understanding who our customer is, understanding their pain points. We are looking at our competitive set, what our competitors are doing. Now we've got to come up with some ideas, right? We probably have a lot of ideas now percolating in our mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we want to, we either want to formally do a brainstorming session, or we want to kind of sit down and say, okay, I've got all this insight. What am I going to do for these ideas? And I like to say, brainstorm with a purpose. Okay, so in other words, the idea that you have to have some background. We don't just start, namby-pamby throwing ideas up on the board, right? Let's do the insight. Let's understand what's going on and then brainstorm. Because the idea of there are no bad ideas, you've heard that before. There are no bad ideas, right? Let's just brainstorm. Let's throw up all
I've
these
had a lot
ideas.
I've had a lot of bad ideas.
There are bad ideas, and they take time and resources away from us. If we do our job up front, we're able to kind of create ideas now that are linking back to what our customer wants, tapping into what competitors are doing.
I call it venting. You vent with one another. Yeah. You vent these ideas that you've come up with the background, and then you are able to, get somebody else's opinion and talk about them. And is it good? Is it bad? Could we shape it this way or that way? It's back to what we have to talk to each other.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
constantly.
Absolutely. And the idea here is, remember I was talking earlier about pain points, right?
Yeah.
That's really where, that's a word I like to use, because it's something that that your customer, their needs are not being met by now, by something, right?
Sure.
So you've got to come up with a way to meet their needs in a better way. That's what these brainstorming sessions should be all about. How can we do something better and add more value to our customers' lives?
Right. All right.
And that gets us to our last point, which is, after we've come up with all these great ideas, don't fall in love with them. And that's a common mistake that we all do, right? I've seen it in the executive boards of the Coca-Cola company, all the way down to the small entrepreneur down the street.
Because if you fall in love with your ideas, what happens? You don't give them up.
Right. You can't say, you can't, you know, you're too in love with them. Oh, I know it didn't work out this first month or 2 months, but I'm confident in it, right? You cannot be critical of them.
It's so important that when you try something, and it's clear to you it's not working out, you got to stop it and go to something else.
Oh.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely, because it will take down your whole business. If
Yes,
you
it will.
put too many resources, too much time, too much effort, because that's opportunity cost, right? That's time and effort that you're not able to put into something else, because you're chasing an idea that maybe maybe your insights were wrong, maybe the customer, maybe you didn't, learn what you needed to learn, and the idea, for whatever reason, competitive-wise or operational-wise or whatever the reason is, just isn't working.
Yeah.
And you have to know when it's time to give up the idea and time to give up the product.
That's so true. And at the bottom of all of this, or the top of all this, I believe this: the mission of business is to help people.
Absolutely.
And if your mission is to do what's best for the customer, then you're going to make sure that you tell them the truth and that you've done your research and you're talking to them and so forth. Just a few days ago, I go to the New York Times, and they had an editorial about a young man, brilliant young man, a Stanford Business School graduate, worked at Goldman Sachs for 12 years. And to work at Goldman Sachs on Wall Street, you've got to be the elite of the elite. They take 1 out of 1,000 of qualified people.
Absolutely.
And when he went there, he talked about the culture there was helping the customer, talking to the customer, providing. And in the last 2 years, he said it changed. It was all about selling products that were the most profitable for Goldman Sachs. And he quit. He said, I couldn't do it. It's a great lesson in business. Business is not about making money. Oh, you say it is. It's about helping people, and the byproduct is you make money and you have a sustainable model. That's kind of what you're saying here.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to create value. People will pay for value. And if they feel like they're getting something of value to them, something that's meeting a need, alleviating a pain point, they're willing to pay for that. It's a service that you're providing to them.
And so that's your focus on the customer and their needs, and you need to talk to them.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
And see, you didn't have to go to Harvard MBA or Stanford MBA to learn this, or even over at Emory's. We got it right here with Tim Halloran. Thank you. It was so
Thank you,
great.
Fran.
It was
Yes.
just great. Thank you for joining us. Come back next month. What we do, we want to make you smarter. Average is not good enough. We want to expose you to good thinking and great thinking, and what we want to do every month is bring someone like Tim in here who can give you ideas to help you think more about how you can make the customer experience better. My associates are there, and they want to build a relationship with you and talk to you, and we got some things that we do I think that will be of interest to you, and so, but I'll let them talk to you about it. But we thank you for joining us for the breakfast, and come back next month and bring a guest with you.